Right.
What it has made you think or believe that you could have been more, gotten more, seen more?
People have asked me that all my life, and I've never been able to answer that. Yeah, to some extent, that was it. Having little beef with this street up the road and that street across, so and up the valley road and here and here. It was kind of fun.
Or when you think you have nothing to live for, or you think life is anyhow you take it, you tend to behave or react differently, you act differently. In my opinion, I think that's why you see less fights in prestige schools.
All I did was I avoided certain major pitfalls. One, as I said, I didn't breed nobody when I was too young. I didn't engage in criminal activity. And I finished school.
Yo, Alternative Perspectives Podcast, the App 868. We here another week again. Naldo,
Jude.
Yeah, we're on the inside. And we reach 489 subscribers. So just about 11 subscribers away. And then, yeah.
Run up the thing now, man.
Just run up the thing. Quick, fast and in a hurry. Remember to check us out on all the podcasting platforms. And as we always suggest, use the podcasting platforms. It's cheaper for you for one. You wouldn't use out the data. And well, if you're balling here a big time and you have unlimited data, pick up yourself. You can check it out on YouTube and check out our beautiful faces. Also, leave a review on Apple Podcast.
Yeah,
and any one of the podcasts, any one of the podcast platforms.
That really helps.
Yeah, definitely leave a review. Yeah. Remember Twitter as well. The App 868 on Twitter.
Bad man don't use Twitter and thing.
Serious?
No.
Nah, Elon Musk buy Twitter now, boy. So free speech, I could go there and say what I want, and you know.
He take it over here. When he take it over, then I'll touch it.
Nah, but I think I've started to see sorry, a lot of little changes with Twitter already though.
Yeah. But that is anyway. We getting off track. Yeah, sorry.
So Twitter, hit us up there if you have something to say. And we're still trying to figure out the Reddit thing. I have a Reddit account, but I had to figure out that.
That's too much effort.
Yeah, it's a lot of work,
Yeah, that's too much effort.
But coming out of the last week in Trinidad and Tobago, once again a bloody weekend, very very bloody weekend. Boy, I don't know what to do or what to say, but I mean,
well, here to say, every week I want to bring up the topic of crime, But as I stop myself by saying we ain't gonna be saying nothing new,
right?
Because we brought it up a few weeks back when it was what struck me that week was that going through the dailies, every single headline, it was no longer COVID. It was just, that's when you saw the switch, when COVID kind of officially went to the back burner, and it was just murder after murder after murder after murder. And it was jarring. And it wasn't that murders weren't happening before, but COVID was always dominating the headlines. But, murder and crime in general came back to the fore. So we spoke about it on that occasion. But basically it hasn't changed since then,
Well, boy, I think yes, we continuously having the murders, but I think sometimes it's get a little spike now, boy. You understand?
Well, yeah, true.
And so last weekend, especially when I see certain things spirit of, like last weekend, where gunmen went to a particular area in Peterborough, sprayed on the place, pick up mostly about 7 or 8 people, right?
Yeah.
And 2 died, 3 were in critical condition, and right? Some more were in the hospital. Then they went back the next night.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Reportedly to in an attempt to kill the younger brother of one of the guys that died the night before.
Right.
Ended up unfortunately killing his mother.
Yeah, well, they shot him apparently and end up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or the younger brother got shot in that incident too.
Yeah. Right. Now, one of the things somebody was saying recently, if Gary was around, things would not have been that bad. I mean, last time we spoke about it, you were saying, you hate to see people put so much
stock or faith into individuals. That the feds. That the Pegasus been activated.
What was that?
They hacked the camera.
I check all the equipment, everything still recording. All right, that's the next camera, right? Yeah. No, But Gary also he gave a statement recently, and he was saying that the crime has risen since he's not there. He said it.
Okay.
And I mean, he has the statistics. You think he's a liar?
No, I never said he was a liar.
Well, all right. So
what's your point? I'm trying to figure what is your point?
Is it that we really need Gary to come back?
Oh, we need a lockdown. That's what we need. We need a lockdown because he failed to mention that the crime has risen steadily as restrictions have been peeled back.
Right.
Which is probably a much bigger contributor to the fact than the absence of Mr. Griffith. Because I would ask him what were the specific...
Or what is tactics he used.
That have now been abandoned by the police service. Because I would think anything he was doing that was working would still be in place.
Nah, I wouldn't think that.
Where do you think he had in place that was working, that was making a dent in the crime that they would have, said, nah, he go and... To hell with that.
I think it's possible. I'm not saying this is what really happened. It's possible he could have had... His arms could have been long enough to have the conversations with the heads to let them know, hey, pardon, we do all that kind of drama. Because let's be real, that's not something that's happening in way more crime ridden countries.
But it have inspectors who are at reach.
You think so?
Yeah, of course. It have inspectors that just go certain places and nobody don't interfere with them.
Right, Alexander.
Not just Alexander. There have a lot of others who go to certain areas and they command respect wherever they go. What was the man who's ready farmer hat name again? He's another one that used to...
Oh, do you remember Central?
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, I forget his name, boy.
But it's not even him I had in mind. It was others. But yeah, that's a...
But they had moved him.
I think he retired.
But it was alleged they removed him because...
He had them under too much control.
Well, no, they say, apparently, kind of control. It's not what the police wanted.
Right, so they say.
But it's alleged that that's what it was.
Have lots of police officers who could command that respect. I don't believe that he had some voodoo he could have hold over them that when he tell them, pardon, no, I don't have... I think there are many things that might have been... that he had in place that might have been done away with when he left. I don't think those things were things that had anything to do with crime fighting. It probably would have had to do with personnel management and resource allocation that wasn't really impacted on crime fighting.
Right.
But I don't think that any measure he had in place that was making a real noticeable dent.
Yeah, true. And then look at it. Jacob and them there, and they get more vehicles. Right?
Yeah. I guess more vehicles to stay in the yard.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Listen, I think he claims that he had a great impact on improving the force, the services, not the force anymore. The services focus on community policing. I don't know how true that is. That's what he says. I don't know if that is the case, I don't know that I have any reason to believe that he put things in place that would have been dismantled like that. That, would really would see what is taking place now take place. I don't believe that. I think it's a combination of, look at what's happening in schools. People believe it's pent up aggression. Children coming back out after having been forced to live like online babies for the past couple of years.
But the thing is, plenty of those children would have been in school for a while though, because most of them are secondary school children. So they would have been in school at least two terms, right? No, so at least... Well,
Form 4s were out since last year, October.
Right, and then Form 1s...
only went out in February.
All right, so they already...
It would have been about 6 to 8 weeks.
So they had some time.
And the thing is, there was a lot of fighting in primary schools too. A lot of fights in primary schools.
I don't know, but
I'm aware of 3 primary schools where they had incidents. Now, obviously, it didn't involve... Well, I shouldn't say obviously, but it didn't involve the use of weapons. Mm-hmm. But one primary school had a brawl, had a group of maybe 20-something children getting involved in fracas. So, yeah.
Now, this is not necessarily one of the things we were planning to talk about, right? And both of us spoke about this already with being a teacher, if you're a teacher in one of these schools, and it went apart this fight, because I guess that might be part of your responsibility. I don't know. As a teacher.
Well, I would think they would say it's not part of the responsibility. Right? Yeah.
But let me just say you decide to go and you get some hand and you get some twist-up hunting.
I was hearing about an incident involving the stabbing of a Form 4 of a teacher by a Form 4 student. Was that true?
Well, the thing is, a girl who I know who works with Newsday, she just telling me it's not true.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I would do, it depends on the. First of all, they asked me what I would do if I went to party fight and then got an altercation or somebody threatened me or hit me.
Or you get hit, you get lashed, you get ting, you get tumbled up and...
Okay, well, first of all, I would decide whether to intervene based on the setting, right? So I would have been teaching at the school, I would know the students, I would know, all right, maybe this here is a situation where the police should get involved in this, not me. But if not, if I feel like it's something I intervene in, and if I get some hand by accident or whatever, then I wouldn't have a problem with that. Now, if you go to party fight, and then one of them, turns the ire towards you now, and they start to, you didn't get no hand by accident. No, they're taking the action to you. Well, that's a different story. I mean, I would defend myself. I had no other choice but to defend myself.
By getting back some hand?
Of course. Well, by neutralizing the individual.
Trying to say come with the politically correct thing.
No, I'm serious. I don't, because first of all, as I kept telling you before, I do not feel comfortable getting into physical altercations with children, right? So it would never be my.
But you see, here's the
I would never feel inclined to beat up a child.
But here's the funny thing about that, right? You're saying that, and I mean, before we were speaking about our children, which is understandable, right? But dog, you can meet some monsters out there, some 15 and 16-year-old monsters, because it have 15 and 16-year-old licking off her, dog.
Well, listen, my point is, I would, once as a child, I would only want to do what is necessary to bring it to an end. Now, bringing it to an end might mean knocking it out. That will bring it to an end and bring it to an end quickly. But what I'm saying is, I cannot see myself engaging in some prolonged battle with a child and throw him down and then cuff him in the face and he get up and he kick me and then I kick him back down and I cuff him in the face. No, I'm not doing that. If you attack me, I will defend myself. And my aim would be to end it, quickly. So if by ending it, I pin you and then you calm down, or if you ain't calming down, I have to knock you out or whatever, that would be my aim. My aim I don't want to engage in a long battle with. To be fair, I mean, that's normally your aim in any battle, in any fight. But in particular with a child, because I do not feel comfortable as an adult engaging, as much as you might say, children, that some youth men or they might be monsters or whatever, right? Yeah, that's true. But unless you come to me in the setting like you're coming in my house to rob me or shoot me or something, I don't see that. If I'm a teacher and you're a student, I will see you as a student. And I will feel like I shouldn't be getting involved in this with you. But you attack me, so I had to defend myself. And when I do that, I just looking to end it as quickly as possible.
Because the thing is, I see some teachers and they try to part them school fight and them get real ragged, boy, like just up and them rolling on the ground.
By accident?
Yeah.
I mean, that comes with it. If you put yourself in that situation, you have to be ready for that. That happened to me in fights with my friends. You understand? I end up on the ground and kicking my head and all kinds of things. But you have to know that is what you're getting in the middle of.
Now, I tell you, I do have the patience. I do have what it takes to...
Well, then you wouldn't get involved.
Yeah, no, listen. All right, so long time... I say long time, like it was so long. When we used to throw parties and things, I remember in all the parties we threw, let me see what it had. I could recall 3 fights, right? In Blue Tantra, it had one with girls. Alchemy, it had one with girls. And Bad Habits, it was one with us. Right? But the one in Alchemy, because listen, I do all the mess up my party, I do all the show the vibe of the party, I get involved. Now, I may have, a little bit of what the hell is going on with that camera? That camera is going mad.
That the Pegasus, they're hacking it. What do they call it? No touch access. Or whatever.
Boy.
Yeah, they just sending it through the cloud.
And I remember grabbing a girl and switch her up and lock her up
And
and
again, I fight with girls too, man.
yeah, because always not to
How much security in the dance?
it was plenty of them and the security whole someone was going out with someone and
Nah,
then
I not
one
playing
decided,
that.
well, I see that one friend is so I go rush. I just grab and wrap up. So I wrap up so she couldn't make a move. The only thing could have moved was off for just swing and I walk down the stairs. That was alchemy. Yeah, bust out. So I was saying not to say that sometimes just in the situation where you just want to kind of calm the situation as fast as possible. But how many people, if I could tell you, in trying to calm the situation, I guess some while last year, the case me where it started to play mad for me. Yeah, what I will lose it completely, you know. I will lose it. A man, woman, or child, and I will lose
No,
it
yeah, but
all.
I can understand now. If you see two people getting involved in something, you put yourself there.
No, as I said,
why are you tripping off
but
on
the
them?
thing is,
Because you put yourself.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah, go see a poltergeist.
The thing is, as I say, if it's any road, cool, no scene, or they do a thing, or they kill each other, there's no scene by me. In my party, I guess that was it. For my nah, dog, they're not going to spoil my event, dog. Or they're not going to make my event look bad, or they're not going to. Because sometimes when I fight break out in a party, that's kill the vibe of the party. Sometimes the party could finish off. And I real pride myself on people must always leave this party saying, "Way boy, that party is real good." People must want to go back or come back to my party because of the experience the last time. And so that's the reason I got involved. And if I know, boy, I just really trying to secure the integrity of my event. And I trying to calm you down and you give me some hand.
And especially if
it,
it's girls, I know I'm not going anywhere near that. I don't want no part of that. Let the security deal with that. Because I don't want to, again, I don't want to get myself involved with a situation where I had to study if to hit your back and how to hit you, and I don't feel comfortable, so I not get involved. Like I said, if bringing it back to the school situation, if it's students fighting and I get in the middle of it, and none of them hit me on purpose, or I just get. I had to take that L as I get involved in that. I put myself now. Again, you mentioned if it's a different thing if like you go to a party fight and now they really turn their attention to you and it's like, oh no, I want war with you. That's a different story. But if I come in the middle and somebody hit me a stamp and I fall down and all I parted, and I would only step in the situation if I feel, number one, like the students are. Is a situation I should step into in the sense that the students aren't going to take this any further than this. I just trying to discipline the students involved. Yeah.
Well, if it's school, I say any minute shame pay me enough for that.
No, and as you say, most likely that's the first thing I'll do. But that's what I'm saying. I'll only get involved if like I know the students and I feel like I could get involved. These are students who might respect me if I step in the middle.
I still say, but yeah. But, we're talking about all the fights and then coming out of the school situation. And I can't remember if you were having this conversation on the podcast or I was having this conversation somewhere else. Can't remember. And, no, I think I was having this in a group, right? And we were seeing your lesson, my story, where they're saying what 300 children show signs of suicidal, it is ideations since pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously you have a next story where you've seen a lot of men reaching out for counseling, a lot of men going through a lot of stuff. But we're dealing with the children right now, and we'll probably deal with the men after. Do you think that a lot of what you're seeing now with fights, however, could be because, in my opinion, I think when you think you have nothing to live for, or you think life is shit anyway, take it, you tend to behave or react differently, or act differently compared to, well, nah, I in my opinion, I think that's why you see less fights in prestige schools, or less serious fights in prestige schools.
I don't know about that. There was a fight almost every day when I was in school. I don't know about less serious either necessarily. As a matter of fact, we used to get engaged. I think is boisterous energy. Now, what would happen in the senior comms and the junior sex would be that fights might turn into, because even when they didn't have Rasta City and ISIS, they had little gang situations, right? And that used to get involved, and it would spill out outside of the school, and it was more, people tended to take the violence more seriously. In my school, I went to Prestige school, and there were fights almost every day. And but what would happen? There would be fights, and people just move on with their life tomorrow.
Right. So
in general,
that's what
even that didn't happen all the time. But
right.
yes.
But that's what I think I was saying. It had less serious fights now, boy. Like, because I went to Prestige school and then not so Prestige school, and in the Prestige school, you would find, as you say, you fight, and then tomorrow everything normal. But with the less prestige schools, you would find that they would carry on this, and then they would bring people from outside and whatnot and whatnot. They probably used to do that in Curiosity. They didn't do that in Trinity because the school was so damn far. They have people that come quiet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then the next thing is when Trinity bell ring, Trinity used to storm out of that school like a friggin' stampede, you know? Because for the people who don't know, Trinity College, the closest place to get a maxi, if you don't get a maxi or by the school, is a mile away. Right? So you still have to walk a mile to get a maxi. The next thing is Trinity College used to finish later than other schools because you used to start later than other schools. But then as a boy, you wanted to go in town and see girls. And so you wanted to get one of them maxis.
One time.
One of the maxis that come up by the school. So when the bell ring, or some them men and waiting for the teacher and them to finish up the class and thing, you know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No men watch any time. And looking for as close to bell ring, and they put it back. And I thought teacher real bad, man. Hey, take back out your books and while. But anyhow, and as bell ring, men used to stampede out. So many times, even if you bring a squad up there, that man scratch out and he jump in a maxi and go. Not because he's frightened. I don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So in that school, I didn't really see much of that. One time I think we kind of see something like that, but nevertheless. They go second year, and that was a real normal thing now. Like these things would go on and on and on and on.
But I think that was less of, not having much to live for than it was just in the culture. It was in the nature of people. In the children that attended those schools were from areas where that was a norm.
Well, right. So, but there's what I'm saying. But I think you don't think that those areas being the less
privileged
areas, those areas, people tend to live more hopeless lives. Not meaning totally hopeless, but people do have much big dreams and aspirations. So it's very easy for them to throw away the little that they think they have. Whereas,
well, I mean, I think it may be onto something in that it might play a part in the cycle of violence that takes place that brings that the children are brought up in, right? But being from a disadvantaged area myself, I could say I would not describe it as hopelessness or that anybody felt as if they didn't have anything to live for, but more that, all right, because you weren't privileged in the sense that you didn't have access to things and activities that other children might have been getting involved in, you kind of just had to do what was around you. And it might be weird to say that you kind of find that kind of nonsense fun at times. But maybe that, if I'm honest with myself, thinking back, yeah, to some extent that was it, having little beef with this street up the road and that street across and up the valley road and here and here. It was kind of fun. You know what I mean? Now, that might seem strange to somebody who, from a different background, and the idea of fun was to, go after the football practice and go on the arcade and that might be the idea of fun, but for us it was different. But I don't know that we felt hopeless necessarily. No, I do think that what was also involved was what you were pointing out just now, not feeling your life could be better.
Yeah.
I think that plays a big part in seeing negative behavior in children in general. If you don't really feel like, because you look at your surroundings and you think, this is what I will be. So you look at the older ones and you go, that's probably how I'm going to end up. So there's no point in trying to not behave like them. And if you see them behave in a particular way, you just follow along. So when you see older boys getting involved in gang thing, if you don't think that you have anything to offer the world and you're probably not going to end up in a better position, then you might as well mimic that behavior. And I could say that from personal experience, me, for whatever reason, feeling like I didn't have that as my end goal. I had a little bit more in me than that. I didn't follow their, I didn't follow their direction because I personally felt like, no, I
could do more.
I could do more.
But okay, then, so, I mean.
But I lived in the same
so I want
situation.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So I mean, we're going to get deep into it, right? We here and we dealing with it one time.
Right.
What it has made you think or believe that you could have been more, gotten more, seen more?
People have asked me that all my life, all my adult life is in particular, because, people I know where you're from, who you used to be with or whatever. We used to be around and whatever. So how come you and them so? You so and them so? And I've never been able to answer that. All I could say is maybe because people, when I was small, everybody used to tell me I was bright. So maybe that was it. People told me I was bright. But I mean, I was around other people who were talented in different ways, right? I was around people who were very talented athletically. You know what I mean? Way more talented than I was. You know what I mean? But they didn't seem to think they could have made something of that. Or they didn't seem to think that would have given them a route out.
You being so close to them or being friends with them or whatever, what you thought that all right, so you can't figure out where it is with you, but where it is, you think it was with them. Because you didn't say, well, boys, so why ain't going to play basketball for the club, or why ain't going for the area, or wherever you would have tell them?
Well, no, to be honest with you, I never, when I was younger, no. And by the time I would have been able to think that way, to want to ask them the question. It was, that's way too late. You know what I mean? Some of them don't even have ties with anymore. But, when I was going through it, when I was young, I never used to ask anybody why, because they seemed like the norm, and I felt like abnormal. So I wasn't asking them why they don't operate like that. They would ask me, why you don't come and do this, and why you don't come and do that, and why you don't want to do this, what's wrong with you? That's what they would tell me, because I was the abnormal one.
You were staying home and study,
Well, I wasn't even really staying home and studying, but I just wasn't going all out in the direction they were going. So, all right, I would line with them and get involved in shit here and there, but when they started to make it seem like this, like certain things they wanted to make their profession, that is when I would have, I'm not getting involved in that. And that is when they would ask, why you don't want to go, why you don't want to do that, right? And then after a while, they would stop asking because they would just say, oh, you curiosity boy, you feel, first of all, they would think, I think I'm better than them, right? So they would treat you like, yeah, you thing, whatever. So they would stop asking you after a while to come and do this or to come and do that, or why don't come and do this or why don't come and do that. They would stop asking that, and they would just think, yeah, well, you feel you's a right boy, and some of them would be, respectful of that and say, well, yeah, you go so, there's not for you, you go so, but some of them,
right? Because I know I could tell you that. I mean, I would have had obviously the same experiences growing up in Borneo, where you would have the quote unquote heads who would say, nah, this life is not for you. You understand what I'm saying? You're a good one. You stay out of this.
Right,
you understand? You go up the road. You understand?
Yeah.
And then you would have the others who them figure they rich, them figure they well, you understand what I'm saying? So I kind of understand what you're talking about that. Because I think, and I've been saying this like really years now, I think, now you saying it's not hopefulness, but one of the things I've been saying is if you give more of the ghetto youth or the more the youth in these, could we call it impoverished areas or disadvantaged areas, more hope, that I think you could see more from them. The reason I came up with that is because I believe that the reason Christians and the reason they tend to try and tread on a certain line is because they have the hope of the return of Jesus Christ, right? So they hope that when Jesus Christ returns,
or ascend into the afterlife, ascend to heaven in the afterlife.
Right. So they have that hope that they so, hey boy, let me try and behave, let me try and do things And so the thing is with them, if you give them some sort of hope, I believe then, some of them might start to act differently. Like, even if a simple thing like getting them to go on a plane now, take a flight and go somewhere. Not just Tobago. Even go to, it's a plenty get you never even go to Tobago, You understand what I'm saying? Let them experience some different things. Then probably that could open their eyes. I don't know. I don't know.
For me, and my thing has always been what you need to do is to, and this can't come from the government, this can't come from anybody, but it starts in the home, right? So who know better should do better, and who don't know better should learn better, right? But ultimately, because people always ask me that same question you just asked me, right? And I gave them the same answer. I just always felt like that wasn't for me, right? If you ask me, like, no, why I think they didn't do that, I think they never felt anything that they could get. No, as I've always told people, I was disadvantaged in a disadvantaged area. You know what I mean? A lot of the people I'm talking about were better off than I was, right? So it is not just a situation. It's not just a case of, well, what you have. If you're impoverished, you can't envision having more. No, for me, as I say, maybe it's because when I was very, very young, my great uncles and they used to just insist that I was of some insanely high intellect, right?
So what is just another cut it too much or. They ever seen if you tell a child is stupid all the time, the child turn out stupid.
Right.
So is there a possibility that they tell, hey, you bright, so you went to try to live up to that?
Well, I think that they saw signs but they were, to them, I appeared to be some Einstein. I wasn't Einstein, still Einstein, but to them, and they were simple folk from Tobago initially. And so to them, me reading at a young age and wanting to engage in all types of conversation, to them, I felt it, they felt like they were talking to some sort of boy genius, and they acted accordingly. And then, when I went to school, I went to a government, I didn't go to Rosary or one of them schools where all the bright trainers go. So I was kind of allowed to feel that way too in primary school. So I just developed that feeling about myself that I am intelligent and therefore, and I was simple-minded too, because I just thought, well, once you're intelligent, life, the red carpet will roll out for you, as we mentioned before, when you have that silly idea that you just go to school, get good grades, and then, a millionaire life will just fall in your lap. That's how I felt. I thought, well, all right, I'm bright. I'm going to do well in school. I'm going to get good grades and qualify and just be somebody important. That's just how, it works in life. So that's how I always felt. And I feel that the people around me just never saw that. They never saw a route out from where they were. And many of them were much better placed or poised to make it out than I was, because they had greater support. Many of them had family members who were in some way, shape or form entrepreneurs. So they could have learned to become entrepreneurs themselves, but they just did not see that way out. And so my thing is always, you have to hone in on you see, when we do shit like, we have people like LeBron James or Jay-Z or somebody come back to the hood and, talk and show them, this a boy from the hood could make it to this. And I hate that, because that's rare. That's rare. Nobody's gonna have his 6'8" frame and his talent and speed and or Jay-Z's rapping ability or whatever. But you could bring regular people who are who feel real to individuals from those areas and say, look, all he did was he just didn't breed people early and didn't sell drugs and went to school. And look who he is. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's why whenever I'm a nightmare for the Shabaka Kambons and the people who are constantly talking about the system, right? I'm a nightmare for them, because when they started trot out their nonsense about you can't make it out of this and out of that and out of the other, and I be like, nah, bro, I'm not special, and that's the thing. And
no, but I listening to it, I think you are, and I say not a gas. I think you might think you're not special, but I think for whoever in your situation, because you what you call it, the anomaly in the whole situation, you are anomaly.
Right. Yes, but I don't possess anything that cannot be replicated easily.
Nah, I listen. As much as I hear you, I find it hard to agree with that point, because I think on dealing with you on an everyday basis, your brain is operated way different than most people on. And I mean,
right,
but is that something
but all I would say that is I'm maybe a little bit more rational than most people. Is it impossible to think rationally? Is it in other words, it's much easier for you to develop a rational thinking mindset than it is to become LeBron, or it is to become some multi-millionaire.
Well, right, but that's when you compare it to that. But is it that it might be harder to remove yourself from that emotional state or that broken emotional state to become a rational individual for most people?
Well, I understand it might be hard, but I think is the easiest. Okay, so whenever I, talk about my background and my upbringing and people, first of all, they just assume. I remember the first time I was having this conversation with that same Shabaka Kambon, and I was essentially telling him, but listen, I didn't end up doing this or didn't end up doing that. And he said, oh, well, you from a middle class, but I said, whoa, pause. How you, he just assumed because of the way I was talking, I was on the radio, so, he just assumed because I said, no, brother, you are from a middle class background. I am not, right? And that's why when you start with the whole sad story about camp, no, it's very easy to do that. And I say, because most times when people talk like me, they would say, but I was seeing all sorts of things happening around me. My neighborhood was this and that, but my mother or my father, he instilled this or I didn't have that either. No disrespect to my moms, but my mother had her situation to deal with when I was a young one. I was raised essentially by my grandmother, who was infirmed for most of the time when I was in, probably a teenager, from a young teenager upward. She was infirmed. She passed away when I was 18, I believe 18 or 19, right? So for my entire secondary school life, nobody was around to tell me what to do. I was operating and I think I wasn't like some super dedicated child that, I mean, as I say, I had some natural intelligence, but I wasn't, dedicated to the books. I used to come home and work. I didn't have none of that. I didn't even have a serious work ethic, instilled in me. Nobody was doing that. All I did was I avoided certain major pitfalls. One, as I said, I didn't breed nobody when I was too young. I didn't engage in criminal activity, and I finished school.
All right, but I think
that was it.
Yeah, but
that was it.
Yeah, but that is still we're talking about 19 years old, right? But I think we're more concerned, especially now we're seeing the situation with children in school, with what going on, with because obviously what needs to be fixed at a younger age, not at 19, not at we talking about.
No.
Right?
What these things I'm talking about didn't these things could be pitfalls in the teens, I mean, to be fair, most boys aren't going to be bogged down by a child born at that stage, right? But the engagement in criminal activity and finishing school, that is...
No, right. So that is two major things. Right.
You do those things and find what you're good at and work it. Just form a plan. Simple thing. Form a plan. Because, one of the few times when I had a friend of mine who dropped out of school, right? And because he was asking me just now, so if I don't ask him, only a few times I asked the question, like, or tried to stop them. All I was asking him was, okay, you keep saying school is not for you, but then what is? What is? So, okay, you ain't going to school, so what are you going to do? Now, what he wanted to say, but he couldn't say it to me because he knew how stupid it would sound when it come out of his mouth, is he want to shoot life. But he knows, oh God, dog, Where you feel you reaching in that? I mean, we feeling refreshed? Come on, man. You understand where I'm coming from? Nah, that ain't happening. So, but that's what he really wanted to say, but he knows it will sound, especially saying it to me, it will sound stupid when he said it out loud. So he just said nothing. And that was my only issue. Okay, school is not your scene. No worries. So what are you going to do?
But the thing is, there's a saying, when you have a lot of broke, what they call them, like broke scholars or broke people graduates, right?
Yeah.
And then you have rich or seemingly rich and successful hustlers. You call them hustlers. Roadmen. I mean, you could see how a young man growing up today.
Nah, but he knows because we used to talk about how much how much the roadmen wasn't living no life out here. But that, because most of the ones our contemporaries weren't living large. They was out there taking risks and they weren't living large. And we used to laugh at that. We used to be like, look at you. Look at what you doing and look at how you for all the talk. Look how you living, dog. Look how you living. Me and you, we go and dance. I mean, I used to have to borrow clothes from people and things, but the point is, we go and dance looking the same way.
Right.
And you out here hustling hard. Come on, man. So he knew that. So, and that's the reality. The reality is you look around and just like how, all right, there might be of the people who go the traditional route, right? Like we call it the square route. The man who's take the square, the average Joe route, right? Right. The average Joe, 90% of people end up like average Joes, and then 10% of them become CEOs and drive nice cars and all that. It's the same thing, or probably worse in the road. You know what I mean?
And maybe 1%.
Maybe 1%. Even living a life that you could even consider enviable, right? So that's not real. People convince themselves of that because they just don't want to do the hard work, which is the other thing, which is the, all right, wherever is my talent or wherever I want to do, or let me work hard on that. Let me, avoid the pitfalls, and they just don't want to do that. So it's convince themselves that the street look nice. Now, yes, sometimes there are some people who, there are some ways to make fast money, and if you want to make fast money, in a hurry, if you want, well, it's fast money, so you must make it in a hurry. But if you're looking for a short-term gain right now, there are things you could go out and do. And sometimes I contemplated that. But it's different to contemplate doing one or two things to make an end or to get some fast money, to do something, as opposed to making street life your life.
Your life, right.
Right? And that is what I could never understand. I don't even mind if you're hustling, but you're doing other things, or you know what I mean? Because that makes sense to me. You want to make money, you want to make more money, so you can do more things, you want to buy nicer clothes, but you understand that you can't make this a career. You know what I mean? But I think what ends up happening is that most people don't have the self-belief. And this is coming back to what I think needs to be instilled. I think if you give people self-belief, you call it hope, I would just say self-belief. But in their minds, they have to see themselves as more. And I think if you don't see yourself as more, then you're just going to mimic the behavior of the people around you. And unfortunately, and if there is something you could call unnatural about me, maybe it is the fact that although I was seeing this around me, I just didn't feel like I had to be there.
You were able to see yourself as more.
As more than that, yeah.
Okay, so
and so maybe, but I don't think that's hard to replicate, or at least maybe not on your own, not you of yourself. Yeah. But if we start changing the discuss, and that's why I'm saying bringing in normal people and saying, bro, no, you don't have to be LeBron James or Dwayne Bravo or Brian Lara. You could just be a regular dude and just avoid certain pitfalls, and you can end up like this guy. And even me, I talk about, we could end up like really successful people. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because as I say, I wasn't perfect, but and so. For me to know that I wasn't perfect, I didn't have the most intact household, and I still...
This might be... we are not psychologists here. You probably have Sule on at some point to discuss that. But what age do you think we should try to get the people like me and you? What the camera is saying there? You see, that's what's happening. They do have a crew doing this thing, you know?
Yeah.
One day we'll get a crew. So you're saying that self-worth, and as asking at what age you think we should start bringing these people to the youth bringing them back to the ghetto, if you want to call it that, or for them to have those discussions?
I think primary school. And I mean, you don't have to just focus on the disadvantaged areas, but you could, you have it all around. But I think one of the things, the elements missing from education, the education system, where we talk, and it reached back to what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, is that we don't teach enough life skills, right? Mm-hmm. We teach, in my view, a lot of unnecessary academics, stuff that most children don't need to learn. Most people don't necessarily use in their lives at all to any great effect. And we don't teach enough life skills. And I think in teaching lives, one of the important aspects of life skills is exposing children so that, we always talk about the great equalizer. What could equalize the playing field? And, people think socialism will do it. And if we just take money from rich people and give it to public, no. If you want to really equalize the opportunity landscape, you need to expose children. You need to expose so that nobody could say, well, all right, when I was young, I didn't know you could really make money as a mechanic. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? I saw mechanics and just thought them was... I'm talking about me now.
Yeah.
I saw mechanics and just
thought... And you thought they were broke because the way they would look, the way they dress.
Yeah. They just look broke. And there probably are a lot of broke mechanics, but you don't have to be, right? You know what I mean? If you're pretty good at what you do and you market yourself well, you could easily be not just comfortable but well off, right? And you could do it doing something that is a little bit more stimulating than a lot of menial tasks or jobs in the corporate world. I just didn't know that. I did not know that.
Right. Even contractors. I mean, you come now and you see contractors, and we talking about our contractors who didn't even go and do, what the hell is the degree is for that again?
Civil engineering.
Right, yeah. Who didn't even go and do civil engineering. And they are contractors, they start small.
Yeah.
They might have started as a laborer and then they realize, but I could get somebody to do this, and I could. Yeah. So when I go by the person, I go tell them, well, now I go get somebody to paint, and I go get somebody to do tile, and I go get and they start to pull the people together to do the work, and then bam, just say that you are a contractor because I was, hey, you handle that, but boy, Jude handle everything for me. Right. He get all the men and he make sure everything happen.
Right.
And then bam, he a contractor, and then it's because you have $100,000, $200,000 contracts.
Yeah.
You understand? Easy like that. Like as Jude was saying. We were talking before we started recording about that's when we was recording.
Just before we recorded.
Yeah, about the man who
the scaffolding man. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Who apparently was paid $72,000 for a job that he had just completed.
Yeah. So and well of course the unfortunate thing happened where he met his demise. Yeah.
From allegedly, at the gunpoint.
Yeah.
From a robber.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, the kind of money we talking about. I mean, if you do a few of that a month, you could live pretty comfortable. I know some contractors who live in pretty nice.
Yeah. And if you don't know that, I am saying this from experience. All I knew in my mind as a route to success was academic prowess, getting... I mean, it probably was the route I should have taken anyway, because that's where...
Well, yeah, I mean, it might have been because that's where you set your mind at, you set your heart at.
Right.
But had you set it differently...
Who knows, right? And the thing is that, again... I would have been probably... I started off in the corporate world, and I probably would have been very high up in the corporate world had I been inspired by the work I was doing at a low level. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't, so I never stayed in one place because I was always looking for something to stimulate my mind. Again, not knowing that, hey, listen, if you just stick this out for a little while, the work could get more stimulating as you go up, but you just had to have some patience. I didn't know that. Again, because I don't have a family member who was a mid-level manager or manager in the corporate world who would have said, no, Jude, stick to it. You might not like this work here now, this telework or this whatever, but it could get better. I may not have stayed, but the point is, again, lack of exposure, nobody to guide me, no mentor, nobody to say, well, I want to make it in the corporate world. Tell me how it's like now. Tell me what. Well, you'll have to do some boring work for maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 years. You can accelerate it if you kiss a little ass or you do these courses or you do whatever. You can accelerate it and reach out, get where you want to go a little faster. But mainly look out for about 6, 7 years of soul sucking work, and then it will get good. But I didn't have anybody, none of that. And that, I would say, is the greatest disadvantage that many young people face. Some people didn't happen to have family members who are involved in business, in certain types of professions, and they could give them guidance. So you gain some exposure so that you can plan your life. But when your father is a European man, if you're wrong, and your mother is a domestic worker, and none of them things you see, you know what I mean? What they go tell you? What advice they can impart?
I mean, and I think they could tell you go to school and do any work and whatever, but the more intricate things and the little things that you need to make that change or make that difference, or to turn on a switch or whatever the case may be, those little things they may never be able to tell you now. So I understand your point in that regard, and just not having that little piece of information is what could throw off your whole your whole journey now.
Yeah. I think that if you want to equalize the opportunity playing surface, then that's what you have to do. You have to exposure. That's what most of these, look how many things you learn, and people will say that, look, you're 30 something years old now and you're now learning X or Y or Z. Yeah. These are tricks that the rich have been using for. That's more valuable than learning some language you're never going to use.
Right.
Wasting 3 years. Learning Spanish in secondary school, and you can't even say Buenos Dias now that you're an adult. What you understand what I'm saying?
Because, like, for me, I went to Trinity College in Form 1, right? I passed to Trinity College. And then I wanted to take this DJ thing and think a little more seriously. And to me, I was better with my hands and the technical aspect of things. So I wanted to do electronics. Obviously, they don't teach like electronics in Trinity.
Oh, they don't?
Nah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right. It's not metal work, it's not woodwork, it's not none of them things in Trinity.
Still?
I don't have it now, but it never in my days.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I was like, wait, I wanted to do electronics. Now, at that age and that stage, I was really digging up in car amp, and I had a whole system in my house with a car battery and a power supply and running all kind of drama. So I was real interested in that. I mean, up to now, I could hook up music in cars and things for myself, hook it up for people and that kind of thing. So that was something I was always kind of passionate about. That's something my father's into as well, right? When my father died, we had the contract for playing the music in all the KFCs in Trinidad and Tobago. So we used to do work for Prestige Hole and KFC Pizza Hut. And well, when he died, we didn't do Pizza Hut yet. Pizza Hut didn't come out yet, but nevertheless. So I was always into that electronics thing, and I wanted to do it real bad. And that's why I wanted to go Eldo Blue. Because Eldo had it now. So that's really and truly where I wanted to go. That ended up not happening. I ended up going Digosec and ended up doing metal work. It wasn't something I was too interested in, but I was doing pretty well in it. But I was kind of lackadaisical with it because it's not something I wanted to do. And, today as I wonder, had I gotten the opportunity to actually do electronics at a younger age when I wanted to do it? Because, I mean, up to now, I still hook up all these things and still dig up in a lot of these things. Soda things and whatever. What it might have done for me today, I don't know. Because I could tell you, going to school like Trinity, and if you want to do things like, trade and whatnot, them teachers was kind of embarrassing, boy. You understand what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, this is the same thing in Curacao,
yeah, this kind of...
Because there's a school for that. That's not and that's another reason why I felt that was the only... Because the impression I got was the Dunce children them did those things, and the Bright children, well, right, we were the ones who, were really important, and we were going to do really important things. Those Dunce children would go and learn trade, and they could be like broke mechanics, right? And broke plumbers and broke masons. I know every single plumber I know has more money than me. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's not a joke. And I know about four or five plumbers. Well, I shouldn't say plumbers. They're not. But yes. They started off as plumbers. Now they're contractors, right? But even before they were contractors, they were plumbers, and they were more well off than me. At my best point. So I didn't know. I just did not know that was a possibility.
So there's a possibility that our school system might be kind of separating and frustrating
possibility.
A huge demographic.
I am 100% certain that is the case. It's not a possibility. Our education system is not fit for purpose. It may have been fit for purpose at a time when, when access to information and knowledge was difficult, and the state had to provide a way to give everybody an equal chance of having exposure to academics, right? Because, literacy levels were low, and if only the rich people could learn to read, write, and kind of stimulate the intellectual faculties of the brain, then that will obviously not be good for the society. So opening schools and making it, democratizing the ability to get access information, that's great. But now we live in an age where if you want to learn basic economics, you could learn it on YouTube, right? You teach children to read, write, and think critically, and they could learn anything else they want to. Because let's be honest, you kept referring to things where you wanted to do and why you didn't do well, because that's what really is behind whether you take to a subject or not, If you're motivated to learn it. If you half the reason why we don't do well is because we're just not we don't know why we're learning it. We don't have a use for the information, so we're not going to make the effort to connect the theory to the practical. We're just like, what am I learning this for? You know what I mean? That's how I felt about 99% of the things I did in school. What am I learning this for? How am I? So, okay. When I was in school, I hated biology. Maybe because I had a shitty teacher too. But I hated biology. One of the main reasons I used to tell people, because, when you're young, everybody, you want to be doctor, lawyer. Doctor was the first thing I'd tell you, X off the list, right? I hate biology. But then when I got older and, I started to, not just get interested in self-diagnosing, but when you started studying nutrition because you're trying to understand how you could manage your weight better and so on, I started to realize I had a real liking now for biology and wanting to learn more about my body and how the body works and how the body breaks down particular substances and, because now I'm motivated to learn. You know what I mean? I was motivated to learn when I was in Form 1 or 4. I didn't want to be a doctor and I thought it was a waste of my fucking time. But now that I'm motivated to learn, I could learn more biology in a year than I would have learned.
In 5 years?
Well, I didn't do biology up to Form 5.
Okay.
So in 3 years in secondary school, I could learn more in a month than I learned in those 3 years that I did biology because I'm motivated to learn. And so we live in a day and age now where, if you ask them, why keep teaching children all these, this shit? Like, if a child want to learn history. Were you teaching that? If you're not interested in that, were you making a little boy or girl sit down and listen to you talk about, the Caribs and, well, which was necessarily the right terms that we ascribe to the Amerindians in the first place. But yeah, we're making a child who cares nothing for that.
That's the right term, Caribs and Araks.
Well, I came to find out that that was not a classification. That was a classification that Europeans put onto them. There were no such things as Caribs. I'm half remembering it, so don't quote me. But there is some. I was corrected many a times for using those terms because no, they weren't actually Caribs and Arawaks. There were no two tribes, whatever. But the point is, I barely know it now. And I'm more bookish than most people. I don't care to remember half of what I learned back then. So imagine somebody who real not on that. You know what I mean? Did you not waste his time making him learn that? And just like, oh no, you have to give them an all wrong education. Okay, that's your idea. I understand. But check them back in 10 years. Did they retain any of that? Did that have any impact on that? Or did you just simply waste his or her time? And when you could have been sparking an interest in something that they really had a proclivity or a propensity to well in, you were bogging them down with a bunch of bullshit that they don't use right now, and we continue doing that over and over and over and over and over.
I want before you go further on the shout out, Sharice, Is he sure he's dotting? Because they say propensity and proclivity, and well, I'm sure you say she's about good vocabulary listen. When she listen to you talk now, boy. She say every week it is teacher a new word. Right?
Okay,
So,
all right.
Easy choice. But so some of these issues now, obviously, in the story we were talking about that drove us down this direction with what they saying about 300 now children with these suicidal
ideations. Well, that's probably another word for shit.
You understand? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? No, they were saying that because of the pandemic is why the numbers increased.
Well, they weren't making any assumptions or drawing any conclusions of causality. All they were simply saying is during the pandemic this has happened.
Right.
You make of that what you will.
Right. Yes. But do you think that because you remember that we were saying that somebody else saying that there's somebody that said that suicide is normally something of the affluent.
Right, yes. Yeah,
right?
That's a commonly made assertion.
Right. So do you think that some of the people who might have these suicidal ideations is some of the people who might be suffering in schools because they are unable to actually learn and execute or do things that they want to do?
I think it's when you take children who are dying to socialize and dying to find themselves through interacting with other, with people in the cohort, the contemporaries, and you deny them the ability to do that. And then now we living in a world where, they get shoved online, and you know what how weird the online world can get. You know how. So, for instance, let's say you were one of the children who wasn't a cool kid in school, but you used to go to school and you had your one or two friends that, you used to fit in with, and you all used to sit down and socialize, and, that's where you would get that bonding. But now that school is out, maybe those 2-3 friends you deal with, maybe they don't have access to the internet as much, or they whatever reason, they maybe y'all were just the beginning of that relationship, and now as you all not seeing each other every
I
day.
think sometimes you just have friendships in schools and
school,
and then when they reach home,
not
that is forget about the person, but it is just stop in school,
right,
or probably after school and until I see you the next day.
Exactly. So let's say maybe you didn't even have the person's number, right? You used to talk to them in school, but you didn't even have the number. Now you're home now, you're doing online classes, and you're realizing that a lot of the children in the class just interact. Maybe they have a group that you're not a member of. They never add you to, right? They never add you to the group. How you start to feel now? Because now your isolation is front and center. You can't get away from it. Before, you weren't one of the cool kids. You didn't fit in, but you had at least, when you went to school, they could have found a couple of people to sit down and par with.
And then they make that point on that because there are some children who going to school is an escape, Right. Going to school is an escape from what going on at home,
Right.
They're happy to go to school.
Right.
And so sometimes when you're living in those kind of homes, you mightn't have the devices to actually partake in the class. So you might be one of the children that your parents have to go and get the package from in school, or you have to go and get the package from in school. So you still not even getting that proper interaction. And then we're studying how we're being judged now because everybody know that
you have no internet home, or you have no you
device.
don't have a laptop, or you don't have that's even worse. So a lot of that would have been happening. And I think it's really the isolation that could be driving these sorts. That on top of the fact that we have adults who are, and I say adults, I mean, and this is where the media and the leadership and all of these people come in, who love driving the fear porn. The government want to drive the fear because they want to control you. The media want to drive the fear because they want you read the papers. Up to today, dog, I see another article in the Express. Another school succumbs to COVID-19.
This one. Make me look for. I think this one. Just now. Is it this one, right? Yeah, it's this one. So, but I think this one was CCN, right? most of the schools affected by the virus since reopening have been primary schools, right? The CC and TV6 posted this, and but they posted the Express story, right? Another school hit by COVID, right?
Yeah.
And Rondell Fields said, rampant and everybody recovering.
Right.
Let's thank God and keep moving forward.
Right.
We are winning the war on the virus, but losing the battle of anxiety due to the plague of rampant fear mongering.
Yeah. He's 100% right. And, you know, you've used rate Rondell Fields. I rate him too. That's why. Come to Express. What is wrong with you? Another school. Oh, the virus is everywhere. The virus is everywhere. It will be everywhere. It'll be in every workplace. It'll be in every school. That's not a headline. You, at this stage, you either are an idiot or you are willfully misinterpreting the stage we are in this pandemic. If you think that a school having a case of COVID is a headline worthy article, you are an idiot. Either you are an idiot, or you are willfully, or you are plain ignorant so that you could have something to write in the papers. You understand? Because what is wrong with you? What do you mean another? Oh, gosh.
Because hey, let me get like. My daughter was telling me, like, two of her friends, they come to school like a day or two last week, and they didn't come to school since then. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if she's assuming, because she speak to them outside of school, right? She speak to them on the phone and whatever, right? I don't know if she's assuming, and I didn't want to get too much into it. Yeah. But you're saying, like, they have it. They have it now.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I see in this to protect myself here.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's true that they have it.
Right.
But the thing is, so I was like, so Miss and them know if it is, you understand?
Yeah.
She's like, no. You understand?
Yeah.
So my thing is, them children are going to school and probably day and life going on.
And this is why I keep blaming the leadership, because I understand why individuals might be unable to process this information. People cannot properly assess risk. You know, look how many people are afraid of flying, myself included, right? I was not all of my life, and I just suddenly developed a fear of flying. I can tell myself how many times that, you know, it's very highly unlikely that a plane is going to follow this guy with me in it, but it is still something that, I mean, I'm not one of those people who's paralyzed by fear on a plane, but it's something that affects me. So I understand that individuals are unable to properly assess risk. But this is where, if we had a sensible leadership in this country, a sensible minister of health, he would speak in those terms. He would begin to convince people that, you know, or explain to people that this is, even or the few measures we have in place now, listen, it's not to protect you and you and you. It is simply to not. We don't want it spreading so fast that it cripple the healthcare system, right?
You're never burden
right. But we can't control the spread of this thing. We can't stop the spread of this thing. It's not about, if you want to personally make it your mission to avoid the virus forever, then fine, then great, do you, bro. But you aren't understanding. This is not a case, well, we're going to talk and bob and no. This is coming for everyone at some point in time. Right? If you understood that, then we would stop with them retarded headlines. Another school. Oh my God. At this stage, that's like a headline saying, we are finding, as I said last week, pencils in school. Well, another school with a pencil.
Well, it's probably clickbait. It's probably clickbait.
Idiot. But the problem with, and bringing it back to the children being, you know, having these mental health issues and having these suicidal ideations. When you make them fraught with anxiety like that. Because many of them mightn't be afraid for their own lives. But you know what the last couple of years have done to them is make them feel like, I don't know, why living for? Tomorrow they could lock down if too much people dead. I ain't gonna be able to go here, I ain't gonna be able to go there. These are young people, the prime of their lives. Some, not let's not say school children now. Let's talk about young adults who at a point in time when they wanted to be socializing, making those memories, partying and whatever.
I think it's even, I think it's even more frightening for the younger ones, Reason being, the younger you are, the less perspective you have on life now, boy.
Right, true.
Especially the length of life.
True.
You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly, yes.
No, they might be able to articulate that,
Exactly.
But in their mind, everything can turn to nothing very easily.
100% agree.
Yeah.
They don't have the perspective to know that, okay, even if this takes 2 years of my life, most likely I'll be here for 60 years more. You know what I mean? They don't have that perspective. So they're thinking, my life is shit now. Yeah. That means my life is going to be shit. Mm-hmm. You understand? So yes, you're 100% accurate. And we don't, and that's why I get so angry with the mask wearing with the children, because it's not just about whether the mask, the discomfort that they have to experience, but it is not just that. It is giving them this paranoia. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You scared adults are now transferring their paranoia to these young children and putting that weight on their shoulders. Don't, when they go to school, don't take off that thing and have the children. As I've said many times before, I just care about the children. You know what I mean? I think it's my job as an adult and as a parent to not scare my child, but to give my child hope.
Right, yeah.
And to protect them from, people trying to burden them with their anxiety and so on. I want them to feel like, hey, tomorrow is going to be better. That's what we should do for young people. And that's, as a society, that's what we should always be aiming to do. But we have adults and we have a leadership, like I keep saying, where nah. Stoicism and thing, they don't know about that.
Yeah, before we change the topic, you're talking about that, boy. So this morning I went to drop my daughter to the school. Home girl come out of the car. And really pull the bag together and think properly. But no, what really happened? When I reach on the scene, I realized what happened. She pulled one of the bag straps too tight now. So she had on one side and trying to put the next one and real struggling. Yeah. You know them bag, well, real heavy now.
Yeah.
So I say, let me come out of the car and go and help out home girl. Come out of the car, go and help out home girl. So there are the 2 lines because today is Monday. So you have to come with your form.
The form, yeah.
Today's Monday.
Yeah, well, Tuesday. It's first day of the week.
First day of the week, yeah.
First school day of the week.
School day of the week, yeah. Right, because yesterday was Eid, so Eid Mubarak to the Muslim community and whoever celebrated, right?
Belated, yeah.
Yeah, belated. Right? So it's our 2 lines for them to bring the forms and for them to get temperature checked.
Yeah.
And then it have this group of children on the side here looking real sad and
they don't have the form.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah,
you don't know form, boy, though,
yeah,
boy.
Yeah. Well, I went to, well, I didn't drop them, but they forgot something home, so I had to go and meet them at the school. And it wasn't the form though, but when I was there, I saw the children who didn't have the form and had to stand up outside.
Right.
And it angered me.
Boy, dog, boy. Oh, you go do that, boy.
And I mean, I know the teachers probably, probably don't want to do that, but it just, and listen, like last week, last week, Friday, my daughter ran a fast one on them. She didn't want to go to school. Remember I told you she had some relatives visiting from abroad, right? The one she liked to line with was leaving on Friday. Or leaving on Saturday morning. Right? And she wanted to line whole day. So she went and she had a headache. So they drop her off. She put on her head on the desk and started. They call back, hey, come with child. She's sick. And they say she had an elevated temperature, right? My wife said, listen, temperature was like 36 point something. It was not anywhere higher than that. In fact, my temperature was higher when I went to when she was going in the grocery afterwards.
Yeah.
She registered a higher temperature than my child. And, and she's saying, she trying to explain to them, listen, we woke up this morning and she was arguing. She didn't want to go to school, but she was fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, I think she good. No, the child is clearly sick and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So you think, how long you think it will take Sharon to realize that? Once them go, home. So when you continue to act like that, Sharon gonna just take, because the thing is, once them sneeze and say they had to go home, it had the parent had no choice now. The parent can't be like, well, even if you feel they're faking, them telling you take your child from on the compound.
Yeah.
So,
and then they go start to put a child outside the compound, boy, or like in the car park to sit down.
Well, in my daughter's school, the secondary school, they put they have a room apparently for when they're symptomatic. That is the quarantine room, however. But last week they put some child in the room, and he get bored and will come outside and was talking with his friends. Because nobody to monitor the room now. Boy. So they put him in there and he just get fed up and he said, well, I go inside and lime. And he went on lime, and because there's nobody to monitor them. You know what I mean? A student in her class test positive. Everybody knew he was positive. They was coming to school anyway. And it's then apparently some district nurse who they had to report to, and it's like, wait, so a boy was positive? Yeah. And these are the only people he's sitting down next to? Okay, all right, well, I guess we had to send them home. And she was home. All they did was, I guess because Monday was a holiday, it didn't matter, but they sent her home last week, Thursday, and said I'm not to come back to school until today. So it was really just Friday she had off or something like that. You know what I mean? They were supposed to check. They said that a nurse would call to make sure, because they sit and monitor her for symptoms or whatever. And before she come back to school, somebody will call and you have to report whether she's symptomatic or not. The person called today after she come home from school. This evening, she went to school.
I surprised the school didn't tell you whether they had to come with a letter or
no. I think they know that it will spread too far. It'll be spreading too fast now. That for them to require them kind of things now, to require a COVID negative. Because remember, if you go by the government and test, that is, you ain't getting that result until a million years from now. And they can't be requiring that every individual go and pay,
St. Clair or whoever
to get a PCR test. So that's why they know they cannot begin to impose that, because you can do that to working people because they're working, you know what I mean? But they can't do that with everybody who symptomatic or was next to somebody who used to be, probably if it tests positive, you'll have to come back with a thing. But no, they wouldn't do that for that.
Well, boy, here we're going on. We looking to move forward. Which topic we touching on, right?
Well, I mean, I think we should skip the homes now, the homes thing, because I think that we went real in depth on that first thing.
Duke and Suzette Lowe.
That will be quick. So we'll run through that quick.
Well, I don't know if you ever seen much. So first of all, let me introduce the topic properly. So Duke announces Suzette Lowe, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. If I got it wrong, it's because she's not important to me.
I've heard some people say Lowe, but I've heard it pronounced as Lowe.
Right? As the deputy leader for the party.
PDP. Yeah.
Right? Obviously, the news source, what's her name again? Rhoda Barrett. You know, you read that thing with Rhoda Barrett was saying. Now, first of all, have you ever listened or heard or played some of Suzette Lowe's stuff? And
I've seen videos, yes. I've seen the videos.
Would you say that she was slanting to any particular side?
Well, she was anti-government, which in this country means you're UNC.
Right.
She's anti-government and she half Indian or Indian. I don't know exactly how to describe her race. She kind of looked like a light-skinned Douglas, but her hair kind of straight, and she anti-government. So I think the assumption is always that she's UNC. Right. And so many times she's be kind of like going on UNC talking points to it, so to be fair. So that could also give you a reason to think that she's aligned with the UNC.
Because that is... I've never really noticed, to say she's supporting UNC 100%. But as you just said, you're correct. She has touted some of the UNC talking points.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now. There was a point in time where there was something that the UNC was pushing, and she was pushing it hard too, and nobody else was. Like it was like some allegation or some accusation that was, push out that get pushed out in a Monday night forum, and she was on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so as I say, you're not just on. You're not like we here. Some people might say we anti-government, but we don't spout UNC talking. Like if you hear something on the Monday night forum last night, and we hear, hey, Ting, you have to answer for X and Y and Z.
But I think that happens. I think that is very easy to happen. If you're anti-government and you don't have you're unable to really pull good arguments together, so you just grab other people's arguments and push their agenda.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying. But that's why you could feel it. You could probably feel, yeah. She's a UNC.
But the thing is, Rhoda Barrett, in this little thing she wrote here, right? Saying, given the many anti-black and race-fuel comments Suzette has made over the years, I look forward for her stint as deputy political leader of the PDP and seeing her share bread in Laventille, because Watson Duke say he's going to share bread in Laventille.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. I want to see that.
Well, anyway, yeah.
I mean, I really do understand Laventille people. Like most of them.
No, I don't. He's speaking figuratively.
Right.
Yeah. But what he meant was, I will be the savior.
No, but I know. But what I say, but first of all, that can be seen as disrespectful. Because people can see it as, you feel
that'll make a difference. That'll make a difference. If they feel he could bring walk and thing, they will vote.
Right.
They don't care about that. That is a uppity black people thing.
Right.
To sit down and ruminate over that and care what you say and yeah. But them ain't care about that.
No, but do you think, not to go too far from that, but do you think that they would embrace Watson Joe?
Yes.
Serious?
No, not necessarily more than the PNM, but I think they would. They will. I think Watson is exactly the kind of person they would embrace. Exactly, because he presents himself as a savior. They are very interested in saviors. They aren't very interested in and people get angry with that for me saying this, but I don't give a shit. They're not very interested in empowering themselves to turn their communities around.
Right.
They're very, very interested in finding somebody to come and do it for them.
Right. And I guess most of those people like that victim card. It's somebody's fault why only not where you're supposed to be.
Right.
And that's what I think, like the PSA this push is somebody's fault why.
Right. And he talks like that. He's a constant. He's always been you are victims, and I will, I will take from, I'm Robin Hood, I will take from them and share equally amongst you and so on.
Trade unionists.
Right. And because he has not, unlike somebody like Jack Warner, who has had ties with the other side, which is what everybody in those areas fears, more than they care about the current situation or they want a hero, they don't want anybody who bring in the straight hair agenda. They're not on that, right? So now you could question whether bringing this Suzette woman on now calls that into question.
Yeah.
But that aside, it's not like he had ties with the other side. He could be seen. Let me speak plainly. He could be seen as a pure black party. Right. And so you don't feel as if you're dabbling in the straight hair vibes.
But the thing is, what people are saying is that he would have brought Suzette Lowe to kind of give him some help on, bringing in some of the East Indian people to vote for the party.
I don't know why he did it.
Some people saying that that's what they think is happening.
Okay, right.
Do you feel that would work, or do you feel, because I think for the people who are more into tribal politics, I think they're more tied to, especially when it comes to Indian people. I think I could be very much wrong. I think Negro people might more vote for a Negro figurehead.
African people.
Well,
black or black people.
Right?
Yes.
I'm
Negro. Jesus Christ.
I see. I can't say a black person figurehead. That goes sound funny. But anyhow, African figurehead. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think for the Indian people, they would want to vote for Indian person they feel comfortable with, and an Indian person they know and have a tie to in one way or the other.
Well, listen, I don't know if there's anything that you could feed, the heart of them constituencies, the heart of the Rising Sun constituencies. I don't think there's anything non-Indo Trinidadian you could feed them. Anything. I don't think there's anything non-Indo. So I don't know if it will help there. If what you want is you're looking for the Indian people in the marginal constituencies who mightn't be, I don't want to say all them UNC areas are rural, but they're more urbanized, if you want to call it that, right? Maybe it will help there. A different class of East Indian, a different type of East Indian voter, then maybe it might help there. But there's that he's not making any inroads into the Rising Sun territory. That's not happening. That is not happening in any way, shape, or form. He might make inroads there if he tied himself to that party. He became a member, not even tied himself, but became a member of that party, and they put him in a stronghold. All right, he like a Jack Warner, right? But no way, Jose, him as the head of his party is going to make any inroads in the Rising Sun.
I think it's two different languages too. You understand? Because
right,
his type of politics he would try to bring. Yes. I don't think that necessarily works for.
Yes, they're not, and it's sad to say, but they aren't they're not looking for a messiah in that respect. Yeah. They are looking for a defender of them. Yeah. Right? They feel that they would be set upon by the other side if the other side get in charge. So they want a protector in that sense. But they're not looking for, I will come and share bread by you. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, they're not looking for that kind of thing. They would probably prefer, you see like how Cams and them do the school long and DB. Kind of thing. They get them thing where they could better themselves.
Yeah.
They would more be for that than for you to just feel like a come and spoon feed, man.
And bring some URP contracts here and some box trade. And that's not what they're on. And it's sad to say. And a lot of people might take offense to that, and they would want to deny the reality that is what is the situation. But I feel like it has to be said. So you're right. I don't know why I've never heard that Suzette Low woman say anything necessarily racist, but to some people, pointing out things about black people is exactly is anti-black.
And I figured that is exactly what it was. I figured that she might have talked about the crime and certain people doing the crime or whatever the case may be, and then because you dark color and you saying you had to be a racist,
right? I'm not saying she's not racist.
I'm not saying if she if she never tell me she's a racist, I can say she's a racist, right? Or if she never say she's a racist, I can say she's a racist. And I mean, she might have made some comments that might have seemed racist to some people because obviously, I think sometimes you could pull racism out of nearly anything. You understand what I'm saying? If you're trying to.
Well, like I say, if me saying things that are, I could see, I've seen many situations where people say things that are factually true about African people, and it be termed anti-black,
right?
That and which to me is asinine. That's like me saying that calling somebody who's overweight fat, and I'm anti that person. No, I'm simply saying what they are. Right now, we could take umbrage to that. You could say that's I don't know, but the point is that I'm not anti that person. I'm simply saying that's what the person is. Now, I don't know what she has said.
Right. Yeah.
All I'm saying is all I've ever seen from her, and I'm not a big fan of hers. I'm not on Facebook, so I don't see the things firsthand. I see them when they're shared in groups or whatever. And all I've ever seen have been essentially political conspiracy theories, right?
And trying to call out Stuart Young and Faris Alwari and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And I remember she was insinuating at some point in time. And there's, I think, one of the points in time when she and the where you could see she was on them UNC talking points because she was insinuating that Terence Dale Singh had some family that was bringing in vaccines to sell, or he had some family who were on the board of some company that was bringing in vaccines to sell, some kind of shit like that, but distributing AstraZeneca vaccines.
Right.
So she was one of them who was pushing ahead in a way. And I think, turns out, I think I like sent some pre-action protocol letter or kind of thing, like it's threatening to take legal action for them to stop talking that talk now. It was her and somebody, some UNC person were the only two people who was pushing ahead. And I was like, yeah, of course, yeah. So you could tell like they're working in unison now. So that's what I've seen from her. I've never heard her say anything that involved race, but as I say, I don't know what anti-black statements means. I don't know what any of that means.
And then the next point Rhoda had made was, I also cannot wait to see NTA, which is Gary Griffith's party, campaign amongst the PES, quote unquote PES communities. I know, yeah.
I mean, that's not. But then she would say that. But I think it's obvious, it's clear that he would have been referring to the elements in those neighborhoods as in those places as PES.
Let me show you how she show herself more in this post to be wherever she is, right? Than anything else, because we just all say it, you know. Because basically what she is saying here is that most of the people in the community is PES.
Right, because
that's what she said.
Because he didn't say that.
Exactly.
He would have referred to the PES elements in those areas as PES.
Right.
And he probably would have gone to great lengths to say those elements are, making it hard for the law-abiding, hard-working people in those areas.
And he has said before that is a certain percentage, right, that terrorizing the majority of the people in his community.
Right.
He has said that.
Yes.
So when you come and put a statement out like this, you are saying...
You show how you feel about those areas.
About those areas?
Yeah. You more show how you feel, your idea of what resides in those areas than his. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Well, to be fair, I don't even think it's that. I think because first of all, the individual, is always is things to go viral and cause so you're always looking for a way to jab and to so sometimes when you're doing that, you don't think through what you're writing necessarily clearly. You're just looking for something to go viral. You're looking for things to score little points on social media to get likes and whatever. So I kind of understand the game. You need to do that that's what the individual does, right? You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily feel that she thought it through that clearly. She just thought she was making a sly statement that would have score a point. You know what I mean?
Oh shit!
So but in doing that now you really tell. It's kind of like when Joe Biden was saying how we could prove that black children are just as poor children are just as intelligent as white children.
Yeah. That's
so in other words, he's showing how he feels about
black people.
You understand where I'm coming from? That in a way is what she did there. I don't think she did it consciously though. I think she was just trying to make a dig.
Shout out Freudian slip. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything else we really need to press on for the hour. We here every week.
Yeah, that's it, boy.
Yeah. Carry, boy. I don't know now, boy. Well, let's save all your money now, boy. If all this extra money to spend for campaign and thing. Well, you want to drop some for we, boy.
What you talking about?
Sponsor the podcast.
Who?
Gary. I think to be fair, Watson Duke has a better chance.
Yeah.
You want to know that? I mean, not to win, eh?
Well, I think he has a good chance to make inroads. I think
to make inroads, but not to win the overall election.
No. I don't think he's trying. I don't think he will even think of putting in putting up wow, why am I mind blanking? But a group large enough to win the general elections. I don't think he's going to even attempt that. I think he keeps talking about upsetting the PNMs breaking up the PNM stronghold, I think is the way you're referring to it. So I think that's his aim now. But yeah, I think he has a much better, I think he has a very good chance of doing that. If he plays his cards right between now and the next election, he could go mad and this Suzette Lowe thing might be one of the first cracks, because of course the next thing is he keeps saying he's not aligning himself with the UNC, but people see her as a UNC.
Right, yeah.
So obviously the questions are asked now.
And then,
so what are you doing?
And then let me be real. You're going behind the people who are custom voting for tribe, and then the person next to you is somebody who could seem
like the next tribe,
right? And not necessarily just the UNC tribe, but just not like them. If you understand what I'm saying,
right,
physically not like them, right? That could be
that could be the first pin to start to penetrate the bubble. And if he continues to do nonsense like that, then I could see him losing the little momentum he has right now. But if he doesn't continue down that road, he continues saying the right things, and I think he can. But I don't think Gary has any chance at all.
Yeah, boy, dog boy.
None at all.
But we could sponsor the podcast, boy, dog boy. I don't know.
Then I had to sing your song. I didn't sing nobody's song.
No, I mean singing your song for the whole podcast, boy, dog boy.
I didn't sing a song for a minute of the podcast.
Right? But if you give me a script to read, right? The NT, it is the NTA?
NTA,
yeah.
National Transformation Alliance.
Yeah, I just think that name is not a good name either. Like, who has been on your marketing team? You're supposed to be the PR princess. Like, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
I don't think NTA... Let me be lost. PDP has a good ring. UNC has a good ring to it. PNM.
Well, I think UNC only has a good ring to it because they heard it a lot of times.
Okay.
I don't think that's necessary. And I don't think the United National Congress is a catchy name either. I think People's National Movement is. I think... what PDP stand for
I
again?
can't remember.
Something is People's Democratic Party.
Something like that.
Right, but just keep it at PDP.
Yeah.
Right. NTA sound like that sound like a board that in charge or something. I know that they have the National Training Organization or National Training Association. That will be the actual NTA. But I don't know. That just sounds like a agency. Sorry, it sounds like an agency, not like a political party. That's correct. And I just think his
National
Transformational Alliance. Or transformational.
So you just going for people who are degrees, right? That's the only people you want to vote for you. You understand?
But I was about to say that they don't tend to make up the bulk of voters, but I don't know anymore. I don't know what the statistics are like now. I don't believe that people having degrees necessarily makes them is a reflection of
intelligence.
Intelligence anyway. And what you're continuing to see from voters in this country don't inspire me. But not as voters, but the electorate in this country. It doesn't inspire me to think that we on the right road at all.
Yeah, so this is where we shut it down for today. We're 11 subscribers away from that headphone. Now, if the earbuds, by next week, reach 500, so one time next week in the episode, you'll be told what to do, how to win it, and get through, One time, So make it happen. Subscribe. Like, share, all them things, comment.
And if you win it, give it to me. I need headphones.
Sponsorship.
Yeah.
Right?
Hola.
So we out. Have a safe and blessed one. Till next week.
Yep.